or defend.
Okay, let's
It
play
reads
some
what was
damn
actually
shit.
written down
Slut
in trial
from
records,
China,
in internal correspondence,
street whore.
in the hands of the people who ran the system and believed completely in what they were doing. 7 facts from their own files. Start with a name
Dick.
and a killing in 1481. The same year those first sentences were carried out in Seville. A man named Pedro de Arbus was appointed as an early inquisitor of Aragon. 4 years later, he was assassinated in a cathedral by conversos who had decided they had no other option. His killers were hunted down and executed. He was eventually declared a saint. That single sequence of events, one appointment, one killing, one canonization, contains within it the entire knot of religion, politics, ethnicity, and violence that the word Inquisition is supposed to explain. It does not explain it. It just names it. When most Americans hear the word Inquisition, they picture one thing: a unified institution, stretching across centuries, hunting down anyone who believed the wrong thing, operating under a single authority with a single purpose. That picture has been reinforced by films, textbooks, and a century of cultural shorthand that treats the word as self-explanatory. It is not self-explanatory. And the blur built into that single word is where most of the distortion in this debate begins. The Inquisition was not one institution. It was at least 3, operating in different centuries, under different authorities, with different targets, different legal frameworks, and different outcomes. Historians who work on this material professionally treat them as distinct subjects. The popular conversation collapses them because one makes a cleaner story. But the collapse serves everyone who needs the history to stay simple. And it serves both sides of the debate equally. The first is what historians call the medieval Inquisition. Pope Gregory IX authorized inquisitorial procedures against heresy in 1231, establishing a framework aimed primarily at the Cathar movement in what is now southern France. There is a founding context that almost never appears in popular accounts. The secular and religious authorities of that region had already been dealing with the Cathars for decades before Rome formalized the process. And they had been dealing with them through military campaigns that killed tens of thousands of people. The Albigensian Crusade, launched in 1209, was not a court proceeding. It was a war. In theory, the court process Rome built was meant to replace uncontrolled massacre with procedure. In practice, that procedure became its own machinery of coercion. Both of those things are true, and neither one cancels the other. The second is the Spanish Inquisition, established in 1478. This is the institution most people mean when they use the word, and it is the one most thoroughly misrepresented in popular culture. It was not created by the Vatican. It was created by Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain. It was a state institution that required papal authorization, and Pope Sixtus IV gave that authorization reluctantly, then spent years in documented conflict with the Spanish crown over how the institution was actually being operated. The line between royal power and church authority inside the Spanish Inquisition was never clean. That structural ambiguity is more important to understanding the institution than almost anything else about it. The third is the Roman Inquisition, formally established in 1542 as the Vatican's direct response to the Protestant Reformation spreading through Northern Europe. This is the branch with jurisdiction over Galileo, and Giordano Bruno. It is also the branch with the most direct institutional line to a structure that still exists within the Catholic Church today. That line will matter before this video ends. Now look at what happens in the popular debate when these three are collapsed into one. People who want to condemn the Church draw from all three, as though they were one continuous operation, combining body counts and geographic reach across 4 centuries under a single name. People who want to defend the Church separate them selectively, attributing the worst episodes to secular Spanish politics or medieval excess, and distancing Rome from responsibility. Both sides manipulate the same ambiguity. Both need the blur to work. Henry Charles Lea, whose book, A History of the Inquisition of the Middle Ages, published in 1887, remains a landmark in systematizing this history, despite many of its conclusions having been revised by later scholarship. Wrote that nothing is more dangerous in historical writing than imposing continuity on institutions that share only a name. He wrote that in the 19th century, it has not become less true. Separating the three does not reduce the moral weight of what happened under any of them. What it does is force a more precise question. Not what did the Inquisition do? As though one answer covers 4 centuries across 3 separate institutions. But which one? In which century? Under which authority? Targeting which people? And producing which outcomes? Those questions have different answers. And the difference between those answers is where the actual history lives. The most consequential result of collapsing the three is this. It makes it nearly impossible to ask the question that matters most about each one. Not how bad was it in the abstract, but what problem was each institution actually designed to solve? And what does the gap between that stated purpose and the documented record tell us about how religious and political power actually functioned in that world? That question has a different answer for each of the three. And the answer for the Spanish Inquisition, the one with the most extensive surviving records, is the one that surprises people most. In 1998, an international group of scholars was given access to the Inquisition archive under authorization from John Paul II. The results were compiled into an 800-page research volume published in 2004, coordinated by historian Agostino Borromeo, with contributions from scholars across multiple academic traditions. This was not a defense brief produced by the Church. It was scholarly work grounded in original documents, with researchers who carried different assumptions and different questions into the archive. What they found about the Spanish Inquisition did not match what either side of the popular debate had been saying. The numbers require careful handling, because they shift depending on the time period examined and the methodology applied. One detailed study of the period between 1540 and 1700 identified approximately 44,674 trial cases within the Spanish Inquisition. Of those, record-based scholarship suggests the rate of death sentences actually carried out was approximately 1 to 2%. With some cases being sentences issued against the absent or already deceased. Henry Cameron, in the Spanish Inquisition, a historical revision, published in 1997, estimated that across the full 350 years of the institution's existence, somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people were executed. Compare that to the figures of 30,000, 100,000, or higher that still circulate in popular media. And the gap is not a matter of interpretation. It is a different order of magnitude. Here is where both sides do something dishonest with the same information. The defense of the Church uses these numbers to say the Inquisition was not as bad as you think. That framing carries a quiet deception inside it. There is no threshold below which using state violence to coerce religious belief becomes morally acceptable. 3,000 people executed within a system of religious coercion is not a reassuring statistic. It is 3,000 people. The lower number does not rehabilitate the institution. It removes one of the easier arguments against it. which is not the same thing. The critics who circulate numbers 10
Did
or
you
20
suck
times
my
higher are doing something
you
different
stupid
but equally corrosive. When the actual figure is verifiable from surviving records, inflation becomes a liability. Not because it makes the Inquisition seem less harmful, but because it hands defenders a precise exit. Point to the inflated number and show it is wrong, and the entire argument gets dismissed as ideological rather than historical. The exaggeration protects the institution it was meant to condemn. Now here is what both sides consistently pass over. The majority of people sentenced to death were not executed directly by the Inquisition. They were handed over to the secular arm. The civil authorities who carried out the sentence, the Inquisition declared the verdict. The state applied it. This is not a distinction designed to reduce moral weight. The people died, but it is a documented fact about how power was distributed between religious and secular authority. The church supplied the ideological framework and the judicial machinery. The state supplied the enforcement. Neither could have operated the system alone. That matters, because it means the Inquisition was never purely a religious institution. It was always a joint project between church authority and state power. And joint projects distribute responsibility in ways that both sides of this debate prefer to ignore. Here is the deeper problem with focusing only on the death toll. Knowing the approximate number of executions tells you something about scale. It tells you almost nothing about what the institution was doing to the overwhelming majority of people it processed. Most cases did not end in execution. They ended in public humiliation, confiscation of property, forced reconciliation ceremonies, and in some cases years of imprisonment. The experience of those people, the ones who walked out of the Inquisition's reach but did not walk out intact, is largely invisible in the popular debate because it fits neither the horror narrative nor the revisionist defense. What the records show, when you read them rather than count them, is something more unsettling than a high body count. A system designed not primarily to kill, but to manage, to produce compliance, to make the cost of nonconformity visible enough that most people would choose conformity without ever being formally charged. That is the function the numbers will never capture. And it becomes clearest when you look not at what the Inquisition did to the people it tried, but at who those people actually were. Consider the kind of case that appears repeatedly in the Seville records from the 1480s. A converso merchant, a family that had been Catholic for 2 generations. The charge against him was not that he had argued against church doctrine or distributed heretical texts. The charge was that a neighbor had observed his household avoiding pork on certain days and had noticed his wife washing dishes in a manner associated with Jewish practice. He had not preached anything. He had not organized anything. He had eaten differently in his own home. And someone who knew him had written it down. His case is not exceptional. It is typical. When historians first began systematically examining the surviving Spanish Inquisition records in the 19th century, something emerged from the documents that fit neither the standard attack nor the standard defense. The people most frequently brought before the Spanish Inquisition were not Protestants. They were not atheists or philosophers pushing against theological boundaries. They were conversos, Jews and Muslims who had converted to Catholicism, many under pressure. In the decades before the Inquisition was formally established, and the Spanish Inquisition, by its own governing rules, had no jurisdiction over people who were not Catholic. It could only try baptized Christians. That sounds like a limitation. In practice, it was something else entirely. It meant the institution's primary target was a population that had already done what the church formally required of them. They had converted. They had accepted baptism. They had, by the institution's own theological standards, become members of the community, and they were still being watched. still being
Bitch, you
reported
suck my
on,
motherfucking dick.
still being summoned before tribunals for what they did in their own homes on a Saturday morning. The trial records make the mechanics of this visible in ways that are difficult to set aside once you have read them.
Bitch, you
The most
suck my
common
motherfucking
charges in these
dick.
transcripts were not theological disputes about the nature of Christ or the authority of Scripture. They were behavioral observations, changing into clean clothes on a Saturday, associated with the Jewish Sabbath, refusing to eat pork, washing hands before meals in a specific manner connected to Jewish ritual practice, lighting candles on Friday evenings. These charges did not require evidence of private belief. They required
Bitch, you
neighbors willing
suck
to
my
observe and
motherfucking
report.
dick.
The entire evidentiary structure of these cases rested not on what someone held in their mind, but on what other people had watched them do in their daily lives. The source of those reports is itself part of the record. Accusations came from neighbors,
She's a fucking
from business
bitch.
rivals, from estranged family members, from people with debts to settle or property to gain. The Inquisition did not generate its own investigations from scratch in most cases. It processed accusations that arrived from within the communities it claimed to be serving. The social texture of this,
Fucking dick.
the way ordinary grievances and economic competition fed directly into the machinery of religious prosecution,
Suck my motherfucking
is one of the things
dick.
that disappears when the institution is treated as a purely top-down theological operation. Running alongside the Inquisition during this period was a legal and social framework called limpieza de sangre, which translates as purity of blood.
Suck
This was a
this
system for
motherfucking
classifying people according to ancestry across multiple generations, not according to their beliefs or
Bitch,
their
you suck
conduct.
my motherfucking
Under this
dick.
framework, conversos could be excluded from certain offices, guilds, and institutions, regardless of how long their family had been Catholic, and regardless of any evidence about their actual religious practice. The question was not what you believed. The question was who your
Bitch, you suck
grandparents
my
were.
dick, bitch.
The Inquisition and the purity of blood
Oh my
statutes were
God.
distinct institutions, and historians are careful to treat them separately. But they operated in the same society, targeting overlapping populations, reinforcing the same social logic. What the combination produced was a system in which religious language served as the
Man,
administrative
goddamn.
vocabulary for a project that was
Oh, she's cute.
at its foundation,
With us,
about managing a
personally.
population that had been forcibly incorporated into the dominant community, but never fully accepted as belonging
There's
to
got to
it.
be a way to
Henry
break
Kamen
fucking
argues
shit.
that to understand the Spanish Inquisition,
Fuck.
you have to place it inside a society undergoing a deep identity crisis. After centuries of contested coexistence between three religious communities,
Oh my
the
God.
establishment of the institution in 1478 was not the beginning of the pressure conversos faced. It was the formalization, through institutional
Suck my
machinery,
fucking dick.
of pressure that had been building for decades through popular violence,
Suck my fucking
legal
dick.
discrimination, and social exclusion. The Inquisition did not invent the hostility.
Bitch, you suck my
It gave it a
dick,
procedural structure and a paper trail.
Bitch, you suck
That
my
context
bitch.
does not reduce the institution's responsibility for
Bitch,
what
you
it
suck
did.
my motherfucking
What it
dick.
does is shift the central question from how many people did it kill to something harder and more important.
Bitch, you suck
Not
my
doctrine alone, and often not doctrine in the abstract. People were not being dragged before tribunals, primarily
Bitch, you
because
suck
they
my
privately
dick.
held incorrect views about the nature of salvation. They were being tried because they cooked their food a certain way on the wrong day of the week, and someone who knew them decided to write that down and hand it to a court. That is a different kind of institution
Bitch, you
than the
suck
one in
my
the popular imagination.
You suck my
And
dick.
it raises questions about the relationship between
Bitch, you
religious
suck my
authority
dick,
and
bitch.
social control that
You
do
suck
not
my
get
dick.
resolved by arguing
You
about
suck
body
my
count.
dick.
There are two names that reliably surface when Americans talk about the Inquisition in
Bitch, you suck
science.
my dick.
Giordano Bruno, burned alive in
Bitch, you
Rome
suck
in
my
1600.
motherfucking dick.
Galileo Galilei, tried by
suck
the Roman
my dick.
Inquisition in 1633. Both have become symbols of a single conflict,
Suck my dick.
The idea that the Church systematically destroyed scientific thinkers who threatened its authority. Both stories, as they are commonly told, are wrong. Not wrong in minor details. Wrong in the ways that matter most for understanding what actually happened and why it still matters. Start with Bruno, because the distortion there runs deepest. The image that attached itself to Bruno in popular culture is specific and durable. A man of science, ahead of his time, burned by religious authorities for believing the earth moved around the sun. That image was largely constructed in the 19th century, when secular and anti-clerical movements needed martyrs, and Bruno was available. Statues were erected. Speeches were made. The story was fixed in a form that has survived into the 21st century, largely unchanged. Here is what the surviving documentation actually shows, with one important caveat that most popular accounts skip entirely. Bruno's trial records were largely lost or destroyed. What historians know about the specific charges comes primarily from indirect sources and surviving summaries, rather than complete transcripts. So when anyone tells you they know exactly why Bruno was burned, including people on both sides of this debate, they are working from incomplete evidence. That caveat matters. And any honest account of this case has to say it out loud. What those sources consistently indicate is that the charges centered on theological and metaphysical positions, not astronomy. They included denying the doctrine of the Trinity, denying the divinity of Christ, denying the perpetual virginity of Mary, holding beliefs about the transmigration of souls across multiple bodies, and arguing for the existence of multiple worlds. A position with both cosmological and theological dimensions that the Church found threatening on grounds that had little to do with planetary motion. Heliocentrism appeared in the proceedings but did not constitute the documented core of the case. Bruno was not a scientist in any recognizable modern sense. He was a former Dominican friar and a philosopher with a sprawling, heterodox metaphysical system that drew on Hermeticism, magic, and a conception of God and the universe that departed from Catholic teaching at multiple fundamental points simultaneously. What the Roman Inquisition put on trial was not a scientific theory. It was a comprehensive alternative theology. The popular story quietly removes everything that made his case what it actually was, and replaces it with the single element that fits a cleaner narrative. None of that changes the moral reality of what happened. Burning a man alive is a moral catastrophe, regardless of which charges were listed. But if you want to understand what the Roman Inquisition was actually doing in the late 16th century, the Bruno case is evidence of something more specific than hostility to science. It is evidence of an institution that claimed jurisdiction over the entire structure of how a person understood reality, and treated comprehensive alternative worldviews as existential threats, regardless of whether astronomy was involved. The Galileo case runs in the opposite direction, where Bruno is routinely inflated into something he was not. Galileo is routinely simplified into a story that loses what is actually most revealing about it. Galileo did not appear from nowhere with a dangerous theory and get immediately crushed by a hostile institution. His relationship with church authority was long, complicated, and included years of genuine support from powerful figures within the church itself. The first time the Roman Inquisition formally addressed his work was in 1616. He was not tried. He received a private instruction not to hold or teach the Copernican model as established fact. 2 years later, he returned to Rome and was received warmly by Pope Paul V. For the following decade and a half, Galileo continued his work, maintained relationships with church patrons, and operated within a complicated but functional arrangement with religious authority. What changed was a book. In 1632, Galileo published The Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems, The book staged its argument as a conversation between three figures. One character, representing the heliocentric position, was sharp, consistently persuasive, and won every exchange. The other, representing the traditional view, was named Simplicio. Many readers at the time, and apparently Pope Urban VIII himself, felt that the arguments placed in Simplicio's mouth made the Church's position look feeble. What made this particularly combustible was that some of those arguments resembled positions that Urban VIII had personally shared with Galileo in private conversation. The Pope felt that his own words had been handed to a fool. Urban VIII had been Galileo's friend and patron. The publication of that book was read by the Pope. Whatever Galileo's actual intentions were, as a personal betrayal delivered in print to the widest possible audience, the trial of 1633 cannot be understood without that context. This does not make the outcome defensible. Galileo was forced to recant, placed under house arrest, and remained there until his death in 1642. That is the record of an institution using coercive power to punish a challenge to its authority. And no account of the personal dynamics involved changes that fundamental fact. But when the story is compressed into brave scientist versus ignorant church, something genuinely important disappears. The Galileo case shows how institutional power, personal loyalty, public humiliation, and the politics of patronage interact in ways that do not resolve into clean moral categories. The system was wrong to use the tools it used. The story of why those tools were deployed is more complicated and more illuminating than the myth allows. There is one thread connecting both cases that points towards something larger. In neither Bruno nor Galileo was the Roman Inquisition primarily concerned with the empirical accuracy of a scientific claim. What it was protecting in both cases was jurisdiction, the right to define the boundaries of acceptable thought, the right to determine who was qualified to make claims about the nature of reality and on what terms. Scientific accuracy was almost beside the point. The question was always authority. Who gets to say what is real? And what happens to people who answer that question from outside the approved boundaries? That question did not disappear when the Inquisition formally closed. It changed the tools it used to enforce the answer. The formal authorization for torture within inquisitorial proceedings came from a papal document. Pope Innocent IV issued the decree known as Ad Extirpandum in 1252, establishing a framework that permitted torture under defined circumstances in cases of heresy. This was not a secret practice that crept into the system through local abuse or informal excess. It was institutional. It was documented. And in many procedural manuals and legal traditions surrounding inquisitorial practice, it was placed under formal limits on paper. Those limits, as they appear across various guiding documents of the period, included provisions that torture should not be used if sufficient other evidence already existed, that it should not be applied to the elderly, to children, to pregnant women, or to the seriously ill, that it should not extend beyond defined time limits within a single session, and that any confession obtained under torture was required to be repeated voluntarily the following day to carry legal weight. A confession that existed only because of what happened in the torture chamber was not, by the institution's own stated rules, considered valid on its own. Those rules existed in document. They were also violated in practice. That, too, is in the records. Now, here is the historical fact that most popular accounts handled badly, in both directions at once. Torture was not a distinctive invention of the Inquisition. In the 13th through 17th centuries, torture was standard judicial procedure across secular courts throughout continental Europe. It was used by civil judges in France. in the German
Bitch, you
territories,
suck my dick.
in the Italian city-states, in Spain, under non-ecclesiastical
You're
authority.
gonna get your dick
It was
sucked.
not something the church introduced into a world that would otherwise have been more
You, my dear
humane.
sir, are
It was a
gonna get your
feature
dick
of the
sucked.
entire legal landscape of the period,
You're just gonna
applied
have to get your
routinely
dick
by
sucked.
secular courts to defendants accused of ordinary crimes with no religious dimension whatsoever. The Inquisition did not bring torture to Europe. It inherited it from the legal world it operated
Would
inside.
you please move,
Stating
you
that
whore?
fact is not the same as defending the institution. It is a necessary piece of context
Move, you
that
whore.
both the horror narrative and the revisionist defense tend to omit
On that fucking rook
for
over
opposite
there, I can
reasons.
fuck-
What actually
fucking
made
make
Inquisition
God.
torture different from its secular
digger.
equivalents was not its frequency or its physical severity. It was its object. Secular courts generally framed torture around
Bitch, you
acts,
suck my motherfucking
crimes that had
dick.
occurred,
Bitch, you suck my
events
dick.
with victims,
Now fuck up and
location,
move this. Oh God.
and recoverable evidence. The question secular torture was designed to answer was, what did you do?
Stupid.
And who else was there? Inquisition tribunals pushed into different territory, using the same tools to compel statements about belief, conscience, hidden practice, and inner allegiance. The question it was designed to answer was not what you did, but what you were, inside, where no witness could follow.
God damn it.
That is a different category of violation entirely.
Get your dick
The
sucked.
body being
bitch.
hurt may be the same. The method may be identical.
Get your
But reaching
fucking
into a
dick sucked.
person's private mental life and holding it accountable to an external
Bitch, you
standard
get your dick sucked.
enforced by pain is a claim that an institution has jurisdiction over thought itself, not over your actions, over the contents of your mind. That claim is what
Bitch, you get
generated
your
a
dick
specific
sucked.
and distinctive kind of fear that secular courts did not produce in the same way. Not because the Inquisition was more
Bitch, you
brutal
get your
than what
dick
surrounded
sucked.
it, but
You're gonna
because
get
it
your
asserted
dick
a
sucked.
broader and more intimate form of authority,
Bitch, you're gonna
the
get
right
your
to
dick
determine
sucked.
not just what you had done, but what you truly believed,
Come and get your dick
and
sucked.
to use whatever pressure was available to make you say it out loud. There is a practical consequence of that claim that
Come
runs
and
through
get
the
your
trial
dick
records
sucked.
in ways that are easy to overlook
Bitch,
if
come
you
and
are
get your
focused on
dick
individual
sucked.
cases rather than the system as a
Bitch, you
whole.
come and get your
If what
dick
is being
sucked.
prosecuted is a
Come
mental
and get your
state rather
dick
than an
sucked,
action,
son of a bitch.
then evidence of that mental state has
Come
to
and
be
get your
constructed
dick sucked.
rather than simply gathered. It cannot come
Come
from
and get your
witnesses to a
dick
specific
sucked.
event, because the event is interior
get
and
your-
invisible. It has to come from inference, from behavioral observation, from the testimony of people who
You
noticed
stupid
things,
motherfucker.
and from the accused
stupid
person's
motherfucker.
own words, produced under
March!
conditions designed to generate those words. Consider a pattern that appears
Oh, I'm gonna
repeatedly
be-
across the surviving records. A person is reported by a neighbor for lighting candles
Come and
on a
get your
Friday
dick
evening.
sucked.
An interrogator turns that observation into a series of questions about
Come
hidden
and
faith
get your
and
dick
secret
sucked.
practice.
I
Under
fuck
sustained
this.
pressure,
Oh!
the accused
Come and
mentions
get
a
your
cousin
dick
who
sucked.
kept similar
By a
habits.
demon with
The
fire in his
cousin
fucking mouth.
becomes the next
Son of
case.
a bitch.
The cousin, under the same pressure,
Suck my motherfucker.
names a brother-in-law. The brother-in-law names 3
Suck my
others.
dick.
None of this required a conspiracy to exist before the tribunal began its work. The tribunal generated the
Suck
network it
come
was
and get
designed
your
to
fucking
find.
dick sucked.
Through the pressure of its own procedures and the human reality that people under sufficient duress will say whatever they
Come and
calculate
get your
will
fucking
make the
dick
pressure
sucked.
stop. Many interrogations
Bitch, you come
pressured the
and get your
accused
fucking
to name
dick
others
sucked.
who shared the same practices or
Bitch,
beliefs.
you come and get your
Each
fucking
set of
dick
names
sucked.
produced new cases. Each new case produced new
Bitch, you
pressure
get
and new
come and get your
names.
fucking dick
The
sucked.
system fed itself through its own logic, not through malice in any individual instance, but through the structural reality of an institution trying to prosecute something that exists only inside human
Come
minds
and get
and
your
can only be
dick
reached
sucked.
through human testimony obtained under
come and get
conditions
your
designed
fucking
to make silence unbearable.
Bitch, come and
That
get your dick
structural
sucked.
logic is what the records
Come and get
reveal
your
when you
dick
read them as a
sucked.
system rather than as a collection of individual
I got
tragedies.
fucking double.
And it is the feature that connects most directly to the
Come and
figure
get your
who understood
dick
this
sucked.
system better than almost anyone alive in the century after it reached its peak, without ever appearing in a single one of its
Come and get your
files.
dick sucked.
This section is a deliberate exception in this video. Baruch Spinoza does not appear in the Inquisition's
Got
trial
his fucking
records.
double poems.
He was never summoned,
Come and get your dick sucked.
never charged, never brought into any room bearing that
Come and get
institution's
your
name.
fucking dick sucked.
What makes his story necessary here is precisely that absence, because the system the Inquisition represented did not need to put him on trial. It had already shaped the world he was born into before he took his first breath.
God damn it.
And it shaped what happened to him the moment
Come
he
and get your
began
fucking
reading
dick
too
sucked. Now
carefully.
fuck up a
He
minute.
was born
What's
into
going
a
on?
Portuguese Jewish family in
Got the dick of
Amsterdam
that fucking
in
dick.
1632. His family had fled the Inquisition of the Iberian Peninsula. His father had
Now
rebuilt
fuck up
his
and take
life
that
from
goddamn
nothing
thing.
in a city that was, by
Suck
the
my
brutal
dick.
standards of 17th century Europe,
Suck my
unusually open to Jewish settlement. The Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam had reconstituted itself
In
after
Amsterdam.
generations of living under exactly the kind of threat this video has been describing.
fucking dick
They
sucked.
had survived by moving. They had arrived in Amsterdam carrying the memory of what happens to people who cannot move fast enough. Spinoza grew up inside that memory. In 1656, when he was 23 years old, the community that had sheltered his family issued a cherem against him.
Come and
A
get your
cherem
dick
is a
sucked.
formal decree of communal excommunication, the most severe sanction available within Jewish communal authority. The document issued against Spinoza was unusual even by the
Come and get
standards
your
of
dick
such
sucked.
decrees. It spoke of abominable heresies and monstrous deeds without specifying what those heresies or deeds actually
God damn
were.
it.
No charges were named publicly.
Come and get your dick
No
sucked.
explanation was recorded for posterity. Spinoza never sought to have the decree reversed. He accepted it and walked away from the only community he had ever known. And he never went back. Think about what that moment actually was. A 23-year-old man in a city where his family had come
Bitch,
to
you
be
suck,
safe,
man.
cut off completely from every social structure that had formed him.
Suck?
No community,
My motherfucker.
no
dick.
network,
You suck my
no
motherfucking
family
dick.
standing. In a world where community was not a matter of personal preference, but of
Bitch, you suck
economic
my
survival and physical
Suck
safety,
my dick.
a cherem was not a symbolic gesture. It was designed to make continued existence inside that world as difficult as possible. And it was issued by people who themselves had survived, or descended from survivors of exactly
Come
the
and
kind
get
of
your dick
institutional
sucked.
exclusion this video has been examining. The community that had fled the Inquisition had internalized enough of its logic to apply a version of it to one of their own. This is not a point against the Jewish community of
Come and get your
Amsterdam.
dick sucked.
They had specific, rational, and urgent reasons to protect
Come
their
and get
position
your
in a
dick
city
sucked.
where their right to exist was never fully
Bitch, you
guaranteed.
come and get your
A
fucking
member who
dick sucked.
attracted controversy could endanger the standing of the entire community. Expelling
Come
Spinoza
and get your
may have
dick
been an
sucked.
act of institutional self-preservation more than ideological enforcement. Communities under pressure
Come and
develop
get your
reflexes.
dick sucked.
Those reflexes are not always wrong. They are not always right either. What the story shows is something about
Come
how
and get your
thought
dick
control
sucked,
actually
bitch.
works that goes far beyond any single institution. The
Come and
Inquisition
get
did
your
not need
dick
to be
sucked.
present in Amsterdam to shape what happened to Spinoza. It needed only to have been real enough and consequential enough
Bitch, come and get your
that the
dick
communities
sucked.
it had targeted across generations developed a structural sensitivity to the kind of thinking that attracted its attention. That sensitivity was not paranoia.
Come
It
and
was
get your
experience
dick
encoded
sucked.
into communal instinct across decades of survival. When a young man in their community began developing ideas that could be read as dangerous, the community used the tools available to it to manage the
Come and
risk.
get your motherfucking
The result
dick
was a
sucked.
life permanently altered by an institution that never formally touched it. Spinoza spent the 2 decades after his expulsion in relative isolation, supporting himself by grinding optical lenses,
This is gonna be a fucking
a
stone.
trade that required precision and patience and left time for thinking. He wrote books he knew would be banned. The Tractatus Theologico-Politicus, published in 1670 under a false name with a fabricated place of publication on the title page, was placed on the index of prohibited books in the Netherlands within a year of its appearance. Its central argument belonged to the kind of intellectual territory that institutions of religious orthodoxy had long treated as intolerable. The claim that Scripture must be read as a human document produced by specific people in specific historical circumstances, shaped by their needs and their limits,
God fucking.
not as the unmediated voice of God transmitted without distortion across time.
God damn.
That argument was not new.
God fucking.
People had faced serious consequences for versions of it for generations. Spinoza made it with a precision and a systematic rigor that his predecessors had not managed. He just made sure his name was not on the cover, because he already knew exactly what kind of attention that argument invited. He died in 1677. He was 44 years old. He was still under the formal curse of his community. The curse was never lifted in his lifetime. He died in a rented room in The Hague,
Dick sucked.
and the work outlasted everything that had been done to contain it. Here is what his story adds to everything this video has examined. The Inquisition, in its operational form, prosecuted people for what they believed. But the deeper function of a system like that is not the trials it conducts. It is the thinking it prevents without ever needing to conduct a trial. For every person who appeared before an Inquisition tribunal, there were many more who made a different calculation, who decided not to write the book, not to ask the question out loud, not to read the way Spinoza read,
God damn it.
because the cost had been made visible enough to function as its own deterrent. The trial records show the people the system caught. They cannot show the people the system stopped before it needed to catch them. Spinoza is one of the few places in the historical record where we can see that second category with any clarity. A man shaped by the shadow of an institution that never formally touched him, whose entire intellectual life was spent working in the space that shadow left open, doing the work anyway, paying the price anyway, and leaving questions that the institution had been built to prevent. Those questions are the same ones that have run through every section of this video. Who has the authority to interpret a text? Who has the right to draw the boundary of a community?
Come on, get your
What happens to
dick
people
sucked,
who
you
answer
goddamn
those
son of a
questions
bitch.
from outside the space the institution has approved? And what does it mean when an institution needs coercive power to protect the beliefs it claims to hold? They were not resolved when the Inquisition formally closed. They were passed forward. Spinoza died in 1677. The Spanish Inquisition was formally abolished 157 years later. In 1834, two different endings to two different stories. Neither one is the ending most people assume. Now, the abolition of the Spanish Inquisition in 1834 is real and it matters. The institution with that name stopped operating. The machinery of accusation, detention, and forced confession specific to that body was dismantled. The trials ended. That is not nothing,
Come get your fucking
and it
dick
should
sucked.
not be treated as nothing. What happened to the Roman Inquisition is a different story entirely, and it is one that appears almost nowhere in popular accounts of this subject. In 1908, Pope Pius X renamed the Roman Inquisition. It became the Supreme Sacred Congregation of the Holy Office.
Come on, you
In 1965, Pope Paul VI renamed it again. It became the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. In 2022, Pope Francis renamed it once more. It is now called the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith. It operates today in Rome
God
as a
damn it.
functioning office of the Catholic Church. The name changed 3 times across 114 years. The institutional lineage did not break. Be precise about what that means and what it does not mean. It does not mean the same methods continued. It does not mean the same violence continued. The differences between what this organization did in the 20th century and what its institutional predecessor did in the 16th are real, substantial, and important to state clearly. Collapsing those differences would be inaccurate and unfair. The organization that exists today is not the organization that burned Giordano Bruno. That needs to be said directly before anything else in this section. What continued was something more specific,
Bitch, come and
a
get
recognizable institutional reflex. From 1981 to 2005, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith was led by Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger, who subsequently became Pope Benedict XVI. During that period, the organization handled a significant number of theological discipline cases. Hans Küng, the Swiss Catholic theologian, had his authorization to teach as a Catholic theologian removed through processes overseen by church structures. Leonardo Boff, the Brazilian liberation theologian, was silenced in 1985, prohibited from teaching, writing, or speaking publicly for a period that effectively ended his academic career in its existing form. Several other theologians across multiple countries faced comparable proceedings during the same years. Nobody was burned. Nobody was tortured. The mechanisms were institutional and professional, not physical.
Oh my God!
The differences are not cosmetic. They are fundamental. But the underlying logic that an organization has the authority and the responsibility to determine the boundaries of acceptable thought within its community and to enforce those boundaries through the tools available to it. That logic has a recognizable shape across the centuries. Now here is where precision becomes most important, and where the record requires the most careful reading. This is not a transition that connects easily or directly to what came before. It requires a deliberate step. In 2001,
that's going to be some dick sucking
Joseph
going on
Aloysius
right
Ratzinger issued a document to bishops around the world titled
There's gonna be some
Sacramentorum
dick sucking going
Sanctitatis
on.
Tutela. Among other provisions, the document established that cases involving the sexual abuse of minors by clergy were to fall under the jurisdiction of the Congregation for
There's gonna be
the
some
Doctrine
serious
of the
dick
Faith,
sucking going
and
on.
were subject to highly confidential canonical procedures,
Suck my
including
dick.
norms of pontifical secrecy. Those procedures placed such cases inside an internal church process. That instruction later became a major point of criticism, scrutiny, and significant reform. It is important to state carefully what the document did and did not do. The text of the document did not explicitly instruct bishops to withhold information from civil authorities. What it did was establish a canonical framework of confidentiality around these cases at a time when mandatory reporting laws varied significantly across different countries, and when the broader culture of how the Church handled such matters internally was already deeply entrenched. The document and its context became subjects of serious legal and institutional examination in the years that followed. This is not a straight line from the Inquisition to the abuse crisis.
Looks like I'm gonna have
That
to
framing
get
would
my
be
dick
inaccurate
sucked.
and unfair. The methods are not the same. The degree of coercive power is not the same. The legal and moral context is entirely different. Anyone who draws that
Looks
line
like I'm gonna have
directly
to get
is making
my
a
dick
claim the
sucked.
evidence does not support. What the documented record does show is this.
I'ma have to get
Government
my dick
commissions and
sucked.
independent investigative bodies in Ireland,
That fucking
the United
pussy.
States, Germany,
Suck my
Australia,
fucking dick.
and multiple
Suck my
other countries
motherfucking
conducted
dick.
investigations across more than 2 decades. Their consistent finding was that a
Suck my
culture of
motherfucking
internal
dick.
handling, combined with institutional structures
Suck my
that
motherfucking
prioritized
dick.
confidentiality,
Suck my fucking
contributed
dick.
in many documented instances to failures that allowed abuse to continue longer
Come
than
and get
external
your dick
intervention
sucked.
would have permitted, and that
You
left victims
stupid
without
motherfucker.
recourse for
Fucking
years or
fucking do
decades.
that. Stupid
Significant
fucker.
reforms have since been implemented including stronger reporting requirements and revised canonical procedures under subsequent leadership. There is a question the record makes difficult to avoid. An organization that built across many centuries a structural reflex toward internal resolution of internal problems. A reflex reinforced through generations as a mechanism for protecting the institution from external scrutiny. Will tend to apply that reflex when it encounters a crisis that required transparency to address, not because of a coordinated conspiracy, not because individuals woke up and decided to cause harm, but because institutional reflexes, once established deeply enough, operate below the level of individual decision-making. They are the default. They are what happens in the absence of a deliberate choice to do otherwise. The Inquisition is not the origin of that reflex. It predates the Inquisition. What the Inquisition represents in this longer story is one of its most thoroughly documented expressions, preserved in detail because the people who ran it believed so completely in the legitimacy of what they were doing that they wrote everything down. Which brings us back to where this video began, in February of 1481, in Seville. Some of the first people condemned by the Spanish Inquisition were burned in a public square. The charges were read aloud. The sentences were carried out. Afterward, the paperwork was filed. That paperwork is still there. It survived because the people who created it believed completely in what they were doing.
You had me on a roll, but
they were not hiding. They were recording every name,
you had me on a roll,
every
but
charge,
you fucked up.
Every procedural step, every verdict. An institution that prosecuted people for the contents of their minds kept meticulous written records of everything it did, because it had no doubt that what it was doing was right. That is the detail that stays with you when you have spent enough time with these files, not the cruelty. Though the cruelty is there, not the scale. Though the scale is larger than the revisionist defense acknowledges and smaller than the horror narrative requires, what stays with you is the certainty, the complete, documented, bureaucratically precise certainty of people who were sure they were protecting something important. Sure enough to write it all down. Sure enough to build institutions that outlasted them by centuries. Sure enough that the reflex those institutions encoded is still visible in the record today. Picture a name in those Seville transcripts. A converso merchant. 2 generations Catholic. Reported by a neighbor for the way his household observed certain days and prepared certain foods. He stood before the tribunal and answered questions about what he believed. The transcript records his answers. It records the questions that followed. It records what the tribunal decided. He was not a symbol. He was not a data point in a theological argument. He was a person who lived in a city,
now fuck up and
ran a business, had a family, and was brought before a court because of what someone who knew him had decided to write down. What happened to him afterward was determined by an institution absolutely certain it had the right to make that determination. Spinoza never stood in that room, but he understood what it represented. He understood that the most durable form of thought control is not the trial itself. It is the climate that makes most people decide, without ever being asked. That certain thoughts are not worth the cost of thinking out loud. The world where the candles simply do not get lit. Because everyone already knows what the lighting of candles costs. He lit them anyway. In his way. He paid for it in his way. And the questions he refused to stop asking. About who has the authority to interpret a text. About who gets to draw the boundary of a community. About what it means when a belief requires coercion to survive. Those questions did not die in a rented room in The Hague in 1677. They are in the archive. They are in the record. They are in every file that survived, because someone believed so completely in their own certainty that they wrote it all down for anyone willing to read. A belief protected by persuasion is one thing. A belief maintained by coercion is another. That distinction
Man,
sounds
this is
simple.
really fucking pissing
The
me
history
off.
of what happens when institutions forget it fills archives considerably larger than the one in Rome. The archive is open. The record is readable. What you do with it is yours.
Bitch, you suck my dick. Nah, you're cute. It looks like it's gonna be a fucking stalemate. Suck my cock. Suck my cock. Suck my motherfucking cock. Suck my fucking cock. Suck my dick, bitch. You suck my dick. Suck my motherfucking dick. Then this is fucking pissing me off. Fucking pissing me the fuck off. This is fucking pissing me off. Now fuck up and move that goddamn pole down here. God damn it. Oh, fucking goddamn Christ. I want a fucking rematch. I want a fucking rematch. Come on, take me on, bitch. No, she's not a bitch. She's cute. Challenge me, God. Challenge me. Challenge me, bitch. No, she's not a bitch. God damn it. God fucking damn it. God fuck it. God fuck it. God fuck it. Gotta get control of that motherfucking goddamn suck. Oh my god, I fucked up. Man, I fucked up. Well, I just unfucked up. Son of a bitch. Okay, let's swap whores. You want to swap whores? Okay, we'll swap whores. Come on, let's swap whores. Son of a bitch. Yeah, bitch. Suck my motherfucking dick. With spit, spit, spit. Now fuck up with me that goddamn night. So, come and get your goddamn dick sucked. Dumbass. I'm fixing that ear, you rook. Oh my god. Come on, you dick sucker. Yeah, take that motherfucking pawn, you son of a bitch. Yeah, take that fucking pawn, you son of a bitch. Yeah, come on, you son of a bitch. 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 Man, look at this motherfucking shit. This is pure bullshit. This is pure bullshit. This is bullshit. Man, this is bullshit. Now, yeah, you fuck up like that, son of a bitch. You stupid motherfucker. God damn it. Yep, I'm stupid. God fucking damn it. God fuck it. God fuck it. God fuck it. God fuck it. God. You can tell this guy's a fucking moron. Move the fucking phone over here. That stupid fucking bitch. What are you stupid fucking cunt? Moving that fucking phone right here. Come on, you stupid fucking cunt. Yuck. Get that goddamn bishop out of here, you son of a bitch. Get that goddamn pawn out of the fuck out of here, you son of a bitch. Come on, you son of a bitch. Come on, you motherfucker. You motherfucker. Come on, you son of a bitch. Oh, god damn. Get that goddamn knight out of here, you son of a bitch. That goddamn knight out of here, you son of a bitch. Suck my motherfucking dick. Stab, you stupid motherfucker. Stupid fucker. You fucked up, you son of a bitch. What the fuck? Stupid! Catch that whore, you stupid motherfucker. You dumbass goddamn bitch. Gotta protect that fucking pawn. What I fucking gotta do. I need to fucking catch. This is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. Bitch, you suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my motherfucking dick. Bitch, suck my dick, bitch. Bitch, suck my dick. Bitch, suck my dick, bitch. Bitch, suck my dick. You are a much stupid motherfucker. Bitch, you suck my dick, bitch. Bitch, you suck my dick. Fine, I got the fucking castle. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my motherfucking dick, bitch. Suck my dick. Bitch, you suck my motherfucking dick. Bitch, you suck my dick, bitch. Bitch, you suck my dick. Bitch, you suck my dick. Bitch, you suck my dick. Bitch, you suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my dick. Bitch, you suck my dick, bitch. You suck my motherfucking dick. Oh, Digger! God damn it. God damn it. Let's get rid of some of these fucking poems. You stupid motherfucker. It's curtains for your black ass. You just better move one of those fucking poems down here, son of a bitch. Is this curtains for your black ass, even if you are white, you black ass fucker? You stupid fucker. Stupid! Stupid motherfucker. Mutt! Okay. God damn it. At least I got rid of that fucking poem. God damn it. I'm stupid as fuck. I'm stupid. I'm a stupid motherfucker. I fucked up. I fucked up. Yeah, I fucked up and lost my fucking whore. Yeah, you fuck up and take that goddamn poem. Now dick both your fucking... Yep. Stupid! I was counting on you fucking up and do that fucking... Suck my dick, bitch. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my fucking dick. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my fucking dick. Ah, I fucked the shit out of your fucking poem. Suck my motherfucking dick. Bitch, you suck my dick, bitch. Bitch, you suck my motherfucking dick. Bitch, you suck my dick, bitch. I fucked his Stupid fucker. Move! I fucked his. Oh, you stupid black ass fucker. Even if you are white, you son of a bitch. I fucked you up. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, you poor sport bitch. You poor sport bitch. And I'm reporting you for cheating too. Oh, you know I was about to fuck your ass and you just do that fucking shit. Stupid fucker. I gotta go make me some fucking tea. Let me cut the fucking game in. One last motherfucking game. God damn it. Son of a bitch. No, I want 50 minutes. You bitch. Come on, you stupid bitch. I'll be back. I'm talking about fucking coffee. You bitch. Come on, you bitch. I'm gonna fuck your ass. Suck my slut. God to protect that goddamn sinner. Come on, you goddamn motherfucker. God damn it. Move, you whore. Move, you black ass whore. See what the fuck you're trying to do, son of a bitch. This goddamn motherfucking shit ain't gonna work with a good goddamn son of a bitch. Suck my dick. Oh my god. Oh. Whew. I better fucking castle that. I better motherfucking castle like a goddamn motherfucker. Look at this motherfucking shit. Look at this motherfucking shit. Look at this motherfucking shit. It's really fucking pissing me off. Look at this motherfucking shit. Finish this fucking apple. You suck my dick, bitch. Oh, you want to try that fucking shit on me, you son of a bitch? I'll stick my dick in your whore's butt. Suck my whore ass dick. You suck my whore ass dick. Bitch, you suck my whore ass dick. You suck my whore ass dick. Bitch, you suck my whore ass dick. Bitch, you suck my whore ass dick. You suck my whore ass dick. Oh, you stupid motherfucker. Now fuck up and take that goddamn. Come on, you fucking dick sucker. 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 Come on, you motherfucking dick sucker. Come on, you dick sucker. Shit. Come on, you dick sucker. Come on, you dick sucker. Oh, fuck. Look at the goddamn trash can. Stupid, you stupid motherfucker. I fucked his. Ho! Winners never win, and winners never quit, and quitters never win. Stupid fucker. I fucked his ass. Oh, I should have eared his rook. I should have eared his rook.